Hello, everyone. So, a few people asked me a few weeks ago, last week, I think it was, and I never got around to talking about this. So, I'm getting around to talking to it now. Obviously, Sinn Féin, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, the Labour Party, the Social Democrats, all of them straight up are no addition. To be totally, in my opinion, I know some people do support them, and that's your right. But in reality, a lot of them are not any addition to anybody in Ireland, pretty much. They've done nothing for anybody. The only people they've done stuff for is the people in Switzerland and the people in Brussels, and themselves, of course. But not any only Irish Joe. Nothing has ever been done for them. We still see young people struggling to afford the rent. We still see people leaving in their droves where everybody else comes in. Doesn't make much sense, but anyway, that's the way it is. That's just the reality on the ground. We see people lying on trolleys, elderly people dying in their homes. The list goes on. Crime is rampant. Nothing has changed, what I'm trying to say. So if we vote for Sinn Féin, the same is going to happen again, probably even worse with Sinn Féin. I don't know, could it get any worse, to be totally honest. But yeah, so supposedly Sinn Féin is the largest party in the state. Now, I don't know. There would have been, obviously, because the main thing is that hold Sinn Féin back the last election. They probably would have been in government if they would have sided with people, the local communities, that didn't want people turning up in the middle of the night being put into their communities and being pushed in by the Gardaí and stuff. The Sinn Féin basically agreed with the government on it, and such an opposition party, they agree with the government, and they should be saying, the country's already at breaking point. Why would you bring more people in and put them into communities that don't want them there? Simple as that, they don't know who they are. But Sinn Féin lost a lot of support because of that. They would have probably been in government only for that. And they still probably will recover a lot of support because of that, because Sinn Féin is supposed to be the opposition party holding the government to account. And they nearly agree with the government nearly in everything. But the biggest thing I suppose here is Fine Gael is the party of new energy. Simon Harris is part of the party of new energy. Imagine that. To be totally, there's more energy in the graveyard, to be totally honest. But yeah, it's the lowest support for Fine Gael since 1994. Now it's a miracle how Fianna Fáil is even still standing, to be totally honest. It's a miracle. But again, it's the problem in Irish society, the problem in Irish politics. It's not people my age that are voting Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael. The rest of the majority of people my age are not part of the vote at this stage. They just don't give a shit to vote. They're just leaving the country. That's the only solution. There's no point voting. Just get up and leave. That's the majority of answers for young people in this country. But it's the older people you've seen in the last election. The majority of people who voted for Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael were in the 60s, 70s, in the 80s, some of them in the 90s, going into the hundreds, all voted for Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael. And the old saying, my mother voted for Fianna Fáil, I'm going to vote for Fianna Fáil. And that's the attitude. It's not that Fianna Fáil could go out and shoot somebody in the middle of the road and they still would vote Fianna Fáil, because that's the old way. And we have to get out of that way. If we keep going that way, the country is already ruined. It couldn't be much more. I don't know how much more harm they could do, because they're already doing their best. But this fellow is no addition. Some Taoiseach, to be totally honest with you. But it's a mess of a country. It really, really is. And the Social Democrats and the Labour Party not much better. The Labour Party destroyed themselves when John Borton was in. They turned their backs on the working class people. They did, the Labour Party, and that's why they never will recover, the Labour Party, because they turned their backs. They were showing they don't care about the working class. They're far from the days of James Connolly and James Larkin. They're far from them. They were true, whatever, but you agree with socialism or whatever, or true working class people. They were true people who cared about the workers. Nowadays, the Labour Party, I don't know what to make of them. I don't know, makey-uppy party. The whole lot of them are makey-uppy parties. But they're far from the days of James Connolly and James Larkin, standing up for the workers and stuff like that. They don't give a shit. Simple as that. They jumped into bed with Fine Gael and John Bolton wanted to bring in Irish water. We could go on for hours about the Labour Party. The Social Democrats are not much better. So I don't know. It's a whole mess, Irish politics, and it's a whole mess the Irish society too in general. The most popular leader by the following Simon Harris, Micheál Martin, the most popular leader. Backwards looking idea of sovereignty. I don't know which person. Imagine saying this to people in the 1960s in this country, the 1970s. This is the carry on in 2025 in Ireland. After because again, the majority of that generation in the 1960s, 1950s, 1940s too, a lot of the people from the 1916 Rising would have been still around. A lot of people from the War of Independence would have been still around in the Civil War. There would have been elderly enough people, but they still would have knew what they fought for and what a lot of their friends and family died for. And they wouldn't. I don't think they were willing to tolerate this kind of carry on. That we don't want a backwards looking idea of sovereignty. I could go on for hours, but to be totally honest, all these parties should be gone. To be totally honest, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and Sinn Féin. Sinn Féin back in the day cared about Irish people. Now they don't. Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, maybe back in the day, back in the 60s, let's say 50s, they cared for Irish people. They tried their best for Irish people. They done their best. They didn't care about people in Switzerland or Brussels, and they didn't really put themselves. They didn't care for themselves. But again, modern Ireland, they just sell their granny to do whatever they want to do, pretty much. No, but it is a rotten country, and I don't know how anybody. And again, it's people's own opinions. That's democracy. But when you really look at it, because I'm looking at it, I'm not just saying this because I don't like Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael. I'm looking at the evidence. I'm looking at the receipts, if that makes any sense. Like Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, the housing crisis is getting worse. It's not getting any better. It'd be different if something changed and it was getting a bit better. You could argue they're doing something. Is the fact that things are getting even worse. Prices of houses are going up. They're not going down. Rent is going up. Fuel is going up. More people are on the streets than ever. Homelessness is gone. Like even in the 1960s, when the country literally had no money, there was not even as much homelessness. It doesn't make much logic, and it doesn't make any sense. And then in every regard, nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is they've got more money. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and the whole politicians, they're getting more money. They're the only people who's benefiting from this. Nobody else in society is benefiting. It's just a rotten country. That's what it is. It is a rotten system. It's a rotten country. And I'm really pleased God to do changes, but unfortunately, because again, we have to wake up. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael have been there for the last 100 years. And it's particularly the last 30 years has always either been Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael. Now the two of them in power together, in government together. And nothing has changed. They're still the same way. It's just a rotten country. And we have to ask ourselves, this is the most important question too, along with this. Is this what we're living for our children? Not for ourselves. We should stop caring about ourselves for a moment. Because my generation's gone. My generation's finished. We should be worried about the next generation. I've already accepted that I never be able to own my own house, etc., etc. We should be more worried about my children coming up or my grandchildren. Would they be able to own their own house, be able to live sovereign and free in a free state, or will they be on the shackles, or will they be in debt the rest of their life? And that's the question we need to ask ourselves. Because I think that's the most important thing. It's not for us now we should do things for, it's for the next generation. And I think that's the main thing. So let me know what you think, subscribe and more, and bye.